everybody, I'm Jhanteigh Kupihea, the editorial director of Quirk Books, and today I'm here to tell you a little bit about the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. You might be familiar with this book already. It came out in hardcover in April of this year, but just in case this is the first time you're hearing about it, this is the story of a group of middle-aged women in the suburbs of Charleston, South Carolina, who are drawn together by their love of true crime, mysteries, and thrillers. The book club they form is the foundation of a long-running friendship, but that friendship is tested when a handsome stranger comes to town and turns their world upside down. The real strength of the book is this world, a finely detailed portrait of suburban Southern life in the early 90s. Our connection to it is Patricia, a doctor's wife who takes great pride in raising her two kids and keeping a beautiful home. But lately it feels like her days are bogged down with 100 tedious tasks, and her husband and kids don't always seem grateful for all that she does. Patricia is a proper Southern housewife and would never complain about these things to anyone other than her closest girlfriends in the book club. But even then, she doesn't feel entirely comfortable conveying how she feels both busy and purposeless at the same time. And then suddenly, Patricia's life snaps into focus when she's attacked by an elderly neighbor while Patricia is taking out the trash for the night. The elderly neighbor dies soon after, and her nephew, who had arrived right before her death, takes over her home and estate. The nephew, James Harris, is smart and sensitive and really seems to see Patricia for more than just a middle-aged housewife. But while Patricia is initially enticed, she notices a few things off about James Harris. He seems to have a lot of money, but no idea to start a bank account. He drives one of those vans typical of serial killers, and he rarely comes out during the day. But James Harris is a smooth operator, and soon he insinuates himself into every aspect of Patricia and the book club ladies' lives. At the same time, 4 Black children on the other side of town are going missing, just under the radar of the white, well-to-do community that Patricia belongs to. Patricia has reason to believe James Harris is involved somehow, but the extent and nature of that involvement are more horrific than she could ever imagine. This is my favorite kind of novel to publish, a big, entertaining story set in a fully realized world peopled with unforgettable characters. You go to book club with these women, you sit in their perfectly decorated homes, drinking wine and munching on cheese straws, and you get to know them so well that by the time James Harris arrives, you know how each is going to react to him and how they'll react to Patricia when she figures out what James Harris really is. One of the most interesting aspects of this novel is how Grady uses vampirism as a metaphor for toxic masculinity, the kind we typically identify with the serial killers and predators the women read about in their monthly book club selections. I've read a lot of vampire novels and watched a lot of vampire TV shows and movies. My cat, Buffy, is named for a famous vampire slayer. But I've never seen vampires handled like this before. The titular vampire is a literal monster, but his scariest weapon isn't his fangs. It's his ability to manipulate and gaslight everyone around him until no one is left to resist him. Well, almost no one. This book has landed on so many best of lists and received so many accolades since its publication. It was an instant New York Times bestseller and Grady's first time appearing on the list. It later appeared in their summer reading guide. It's an Amazon Best Book of the Year, a B&M Best Fiction of the Year, a Goodreads Choice Award finalist for Best Horror, and was picked by Amazon, Indie Next, LibraryReads, Library Journal, the AV Club, and Pop Sugar in its original pub month. It earned starred reviews from Publishers Weekly, Booklist, and Kirkus, and received blurbs from horror superstars like Paul Tremblay and Stephen Graham Jones, as well as Sarah Gailey. Grady has written many fantastic books for Quirk, including Horror Store, My Best Friend's Exorcism, Paperbacks from Hell, and We Sold Our Souls. But I believe this is his best book so far. It's an homage to the world he grew up in and the women he was raised by, and I think you'll feel that in every scene. The paperback edition will be out in May 2021 and will include all kinds of fun bonus material, including a reader's group guide, annotated reading lists, and letters from the characters that give a glimpse into what was happening behind the scenes of the book. Even if you've read the hardcover, I think the paperback will be well worth your time, especially if you count yourself a Grady Hendrix fan, as I do. Happy reading!